that was a lot of car moving. All right, so my name is Taylor Ray, and this is every vehicle I own, excluding like pit bikes and things like that. But you know, it's kind of funny. When I parked them all out here, I was like, wow, you know, it's a lot more than you realize when you've got them all kind of stuffed in different places. You put them all in a line, you're like, okay, I have a problem. So as you can probably tell, I'm pretty into cars. Cars are my whole life. They pretty much always have been ever since I was a kid. My granddad owned a restoration shop. My dad was into cars. You know, I kind of grew up around it. And then, you know, when I was 16, got my first car. I've pretty much been head first into it ever since. Spent all my money on them, all my time on them, and no regrets, man, no regrets. But anyway, this is where we're at. This is, again, every vehicle I currently own. It's an absolutely beautiful day here in Florida. Clear blue skies, nice temperature, nice breeze, and it's one of those days where it's just like my favorite kind of day. I cannot be in a bad mood on a day like this. You have to try real hard to be in a bad mood on a day like this. It's just absolutely perfect. And I thought, you know what better day to kind of go over all my cars, explain why I have them, where I got them, how I got them, what's been done to them, what I plan to do to them, you know, what my plans are with them. We can take them all for a rip, show you guys how they drive, except for the ones that don't drive. And yeah, just have some fun and kind of give you guys a tour of all my cars in one shot. I think it'll be really fun to kind of show you guys the history behind these and what they're like and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna go from left to right. I'll also put a timestamp for each car so that if you're only interested in a certain car, you could just click the timestamp and go to that car. So I'm gonna start with my favorite car, which is my LS Swapped Miata. So I got this car kind of as a coincidence. We were looking for a car for my buddy's girlfriend. It didn't pan out. While we were out then looking and had the money out of the bank, we were like, screw it, let's try to find something. This car popped up for sale with a 1.8 turbo and coilovers and all that stuff. It was red and I bought it, and it's kind of what started this channel and me making videos and stuff, was buying this car. So it's got some sentimental value to me in that way. And you know, it's the first car that I've built from the ground up. It's the first car that I've done everything I wanted to do to it. I didn't make any sacrifices on this car. You know, I didn't go super crazy and buy the most expensive stuff just because, but you know, I didn't cheap out when it was something I really wanted. And I'm just very, very happy with the end result. So it's an NA Miata. It's a 97, last year of the NA. It's got super custom BC Racing coilovers, crazy long stroke, aggressive series, heritage wheels for it. I guess I should have put the heritage wheels on in the rear, but these are true three-piece custom built heritage Suzukas. Favorite wheel ever. It's another thing, you know, one of those things that I've never bought the exact wheels I wanted for a car. This is the first car that I got the wheels I wanted. No sacrifices. It's got a KBD polyurethane body kit, which is awesome because it's super flexible. I mean, this kit, the bumper like folds under the car every time it comes out of the trailer, and you know, there's scrapes on it, but it's fine. Got some 17s in the rear right now. I've been kind of tinkering around with trying 17s on the car. It's got a Carbon Miata wing, custom built exhaust. I got half of it built and then I had some issues with it and I ended up rebuilding most of it. Got some sweet Cabron Fiebre mirrors and yeah, an LS swap. So this is a 5.3 aluminum block L33 engine. So it's got, you know, higher compression. It's got 799 heads. I rebuilt it, just new rings and gaskets and all that stuff, got the heads redone. So, you know, it's a pretty fresh motor. The first motor I had in this car blew up, first time drifting it. So I put a dry sump on this motor. You can kind of see the pump down there. I'll show you the tank when we get to the trunk. I've got a Holley Terminator X system on it. Runs amazing on it. Absolutely love that setup. It works so good. Mishimoto race fans with this big shroud. These work amazingly well. My car never overheats. I absolutely love it. I attribute a lot to those fans. Good fans in a shroud are really important if you want your car to not overheat. It's running a CD09 350Z transmission, and then I have a Ford 8.8 rear differential, big beefy differential. So the interior, it's got this Vertex steering wheel, the Holley digital dash. I need to black out the gauge cluster back there. I thought I'd like it more this way. I don't. A little carbon fiber dash deal that someone so kindly sent me. It's got a custom handbrake setup that I built. So basically, you know, putting the master cylinder back here because there's not a lot of room up here. So just, you know, this rod going back relocates the master cylinder. And then I built this big aluminum plate down here to seal off the old shifter hole because the shifter locations is moved back some. And then I built this handle that's real simple and sleek. I'm really happy with how this came out. It works really well for, you know, the space in the car and all that stuff. I have an ECU Masters PMU. This is the keypad for it, but basically instead of fuses and relays, it's all solid state. It's basically a little computer. You can program it to do whatever you want. Really, really trick setup. But you know, it lights up. You can see, you know, I got blinkers and fans and wipers and all that good stuff on there. Got a couple gauges that I don't use anymore because I have the digital dash now. Some bride seats, definitely one of those things that I do want to change eventually. They work okay though for now. It's got a full cage with NASCAR bars, so these go into the doors. You can see where the door bar is even cut out for extra clearance. So basically they end up butting up right against the door. So, you know, especially in tandem drifting, if someone hits you with their tire, instead of buckling the whole door in, they're gonna hit that bar. Yeah, that's pretty much it with the interior. It is painted black with a lot of gold flake. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because we don't have direct sun. So here is the dry sump tank setup. So you got, you know, feed and return lines, vent line, all that good stuff. Really, really happy with this dry sump setup. It has worked incredibly well. I shouldn't say that. But basically, you know, a dry sump, one, is kind of a nerd car part that I've always wanted. And two, you know, it's the ultimate in an oiling system. A lot of people that have issues with LSs, they have issues with rod knocking them because of sloshing oil and things like that, losing pressure under high RPM, etc. Rod bearing failure, basically. So I didn't want to deal with that. I wanted this thing to be as reliable as it could be. That was the name of the game building this car. I just wanted it to work all the time. And the dry sump's been really good. Really, really happy with it. This is also the first car that I learned to fabricate on. You know, I got a welder because I was going to be building this car and I knew I needed to fabricate some stuff. And, you know, I learned how to MIG weld on it, and then I started learning TIG welding, and I did a lot of TIG welding on it, and I built a lot of stuff for it. Like I built this coolant expansion tank, so basically the radiator's too low to fill the system properly, so this is an expanded part of the cooling system. This is an overflow. I built them into one tank. But anyway, you know, I learned how to TIG weld. I built that tank. I built a bunch of other little stuff. I redid probably at least half of the exhaust, and you know, it's a real special car to me for that reason. Learned to fabricate on it. Didn't make sacrifices on parts. You know, got the parts that I wanted, the wheels I wanted, everything that I wanted for it. And yeah, and it's worked great. It turned out exactly like I hoped. It's really, really fast in drift, super snappy, super controllable. You know, it works really, really well. I've done 2 Pro-Am competitions with it, and I managed to win both of them going up against cars with a lot more power. So
the winner of round 3 of Lone Star Drift at the Houston Police Academy is Taylor Ray. Congratulations!
you know, it's really proven itself to work well, and my vision for the car pretty much came true when I used it. And you know, that's a really cool feeling, to build a car thinking it's going to do X, Y, and Z, and for it to do all those things exactly how you had hoped, and be a solid performer is awesome. So I absolutely love this car. I will never get rid of this car. Future plans for it, not a ton right now. Just still working out little bugs. We got almost everything worked out but the power steering. I've been burning through power steering pumps. I'm just using stock reman pumps. So I'm either going to go to an upgraded normal pump or probably do an electric power steering setup. Past that, I'd like to build a set of headers for it, redo the exhaust, and then, you know, who knows from there? Who knows? You know, maybe add power down the road. I don't know. It works really well right now. You know, even with big tires on it, this thing has plenty of power. Even though it only makes 350, 375, it's 2,400 pounds. So I really like the way it is now. I wouldn't mind another 20, 30 horsepower, but I don't think it needs a whole ton more than that. So I'm really happy with this car. It's basically where I want it to be. There's not much that needs to be done to it. So yeah, that's my baby. Never getting rid of it. Favorite car, etc. Nothing left to it but to take it for a rip. Let's go. Oh, it's a good thing we're taking this car out first, because it is very loud. onto public roads in the U.S., but you know, we're going to Mexico, so we're all good, but still makes me nervous. I forgot the rear is rubbing pretty hard right now because it's got too much caster essentially in the rear. Yeah, this thing cruises pretty good though. Rubbing is awful. I apologize for that. It's a very good test drive. Working out the bugs and finishing up getting all the stuff I needed together to make it like drift ready. So I just drove it around on the street a lot and man, I miss it. All right, moving on to the next car. LSFC, yes, I know, we like LS's here. This car was kind of like a happenstance car. So I had a 350Z that was my seat time car. I got it while I was building that car, and that car worked great for seat time, for driving. Spent a lot of time tandeming that car, really learned my limits and learned a lot about tandeming, got a lot better at tandem because we were just driving lap after lap because the cars didn't go through many tires and they just worked and etc. I had my fun with that car. And then once I got this car done, you know, they drive so differently. This thing's so responsive and snappy and grippy and powerful that I just didn't even want to drive the Z anymore. So a kid wanted to trade this car unfinished for the Z. It seemed like it was going to be a real short project. Ended up being a little bit longer than that, but you know, we've got it running and driving, so I can't complain too much. So we'll start under the hood of this guy. Windshield's a little messed up. So this also has a 5.3 in it. This is actually an iron block 5.3 though, so not as cool. No cam or anything. My motor has a cam and valve springs. So this one's stock cam and whatnot. The goal was kind of to turbo it. I'm not really sure what route we'll go, but it's got long tube headers, a swap kit. I had to modify the swap kit to bring the engine up some. This one's running a T56 transmission instead of a CD09 transmission out of a 350Z like I have in the Miata. My favorite thing about this car is the fab work. The bash bars are really nice. The cage fits incredibly well. I mean, you can't even see that there's a bar up there unless you get down here and look. Oh yeah, there's the cage there. So the only thing I don't like is these X bars. X bars suck because right where you go to get into the seat is the highest point of the bar. So I prefer the ladder bars like I have in the Miata, but the cage is really well done. Yeah, it's just a simple car. The plan was to kind of replace the Z with this, you know, have a simple car that I'm not afraid to beat up and dent and bang up, but you know, something with a little more power that's a little more fun. So it's got turbo 2 brakes, which is kind of cool. Turbo 2 brakes, turbo 2 diff and axles. You know, otherwise, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's got a nice D-Works fuel system. Definitely a lot of future plans with this car, like right away, a lot of stuff that needs to get done. So need to do some BC coilovers on it, need some angle, needs a working handbrake, whether that be with the stock handbrake or be with, you know, a hydro setup in line or dual caliper. But that needs to get done. I want to replace the dash. This dash is so beat up. I need to finish going through the wiring. I fixed a lot of it, but there's still some issues to take care of there. Passenger seat harnesses. So this car definitely has quite a bit of work ahead of it before it's, you know, just even to a ready to drift, ready to drive point. So long-term plan, it would be to get rid of it. With having the Miata, I've kind of grown out of the having a missile car phase. You know, having the Z's was nice, learning how to push the limits and bouncing into each other and beating the cars up, but we got to a point where we just stopped running into each other. We'd still door tap for fun, but we didn't hit each other at all if we didn't want to. So, you know, it's kind of to the point now where I feel comfortable driving that car. I can drive it at its limits almost. You know, I can drive 95% as hard as I would in something like this, but in that, which like looks a lot better and is, in my opinion, more fun to drive. So I don't know. I can't put the verdict out on this yet because I haven't drifted it yet. We'll see how I like it once I've got it set up and I drift it. But my plan really would be to get rid of this to make room for another project. So that's pretty much the rundown on this car. Let's take it for a rip. It's funny because every time I drive this car, it makes me realize like how solid the Miata is. It makes me appreciate the Miata a lot more. So we're not going to go on the road with this. The tow arms are basically almost non-existent, but we'll do a little rip. Oh, this thing needs to warm up. It doesn't run good at like idle and low RPM until it's warmed up. Someone is calling me and it's not a good time. Alright, well that was enough of a rip to probably upset the neighbors, so we'll call it there. You get the idea. This thing's still not 100%. Still needs a bit of work. But he drives. I'm happy about that. So now we're moving into the dailies. This is the kind of the drift car zone, daily zone, tow rig / daily zone down there. So this is my Nissan Cefiro. This is an A31 Cefiro. Basically what it is it's S13 front and rear subframes essentially with RB20 and it's 4-door. So it's kind of like a 4-door S13 in a way. Kind of like, you know, it's kind of a hodgepodge of things. It's a 4-door Nissan from the 90s. Let's just put it that way. So this is a cool car. I got this car on trade. I had a GMC Duramax 2500 and that was kind of my tow rig and it was a really nice truck, and I stumbled upon this deal to get a Dodge with a big gooseneck enclosed and whatnot, and I didn't think the Duramax would do as well pulling the gooseneck, so I decided to sell the Duramax and use the Dodge, which the Dodge ended up being a nightmare, which is why we have a different truck down there, which we will get to. Anyway, I like trading. I enjoy trading. I'd always wanted something JDM and right-hand drive, so my buddy had this car. He was looking for a truck, so it just kind of worked out. We traded each other. I got the car, he got the truck. I haven't done anything to this car myself, but I'll give you guys a tour of it. So it's got work VSXXs that are very dirty right now, just like my Miata. My Miata is filthy from the last drift event, but you know, I do this thing where I wait until right before the next event to wash it so that it gets dirty immediately. I don't know, I really need to start washing them after events. I just forget. Anyway, this thing also needs a bath, but yeah, so it's got a body kit, VSXXs, it's got some coilovers on it. Interior wise, I love the interiors of these 90s JDM cars. They're so cool. So it's got a Keys racing wheel. I put this AC vent cup holder in it. Those are super handy. It's got a bolt-in cage with some gauges. We've got a boost gauge, oil, and coolant temp over there. The seats are awesome. Like the stock, like OEM seats are amazing in this car. They're so comfortable, so adjustable. But I'm assuming someone in Japan had like a Recaro or something in this and they decided to keep it. So this is like a base model R32 seat. And it is terrible. Terrible. I hate driving this car any more than an hour because this seat is so freaking uncomfortable. The back seats are 10 times more comfortable than that front seat is. Oh, it's locked. But yeah, this thing's pretty cool, man. It's super plush, super roomy. It sounds good, runs good. Pop the hood for you. Show you under the hood. It's got a bunch of cool features. Like it's got electric trunk pop. It's got power antenna, it's just all sorts of power. Oh, power folding mirrors. Where's that one? I think I gotta have the key in. Okay, I'll show you that when we go to drive it. This car has hood shocks like the Miata. Wise investment. They're so nice, so nice. So it's just a relatively stock RB20. It's got an upgraded RB25 turbo and it's got a set of cams in it. You know, but other than that, it's pretty stock. It's got a remote mount oil filter. It's got a oil cooler. You're probably only going to be able to see it through there. Still rocking the factory clutch fan and fan shroud. These setups work so much better than pretty much any E-fan setup. If you have a clutch fan on your car and you can retain it, because I can guarantee you it probably works better than anything else you could put on there. Yeah, I mean, not much to see in the engine bay in here. Pretty simple car, Z32 MAF, pretty basic stuff. The trunk is straight up mafia size big though. I mean, you could fit several golf bags. Golf bags, that's what you'd put in here, golf bags. But yeah, this thing's sweet, man. I really, really like this car. I think it looks really cool. I'm not a fan of the paint. It's originally this purple color that I think, oh, locked again. Can you see it? It's this purple color originally, which I think looks way better. So if anything, I'd like to paint it back to that color. But you know, for now, this paint's solid and it looks decent. It's just, I'm not really a big fan of orange myself. So future plans with this car, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'm debating between getting rid of this and that. I'm leaning pretty hard towards getting rid of this just because I don't really drive it that much anymore. I don't really want to drift it because I want to tandem it. If I tandem it, I'm going to mess up things like the doors, which are going to be super hard to find. And, you know, it doesn't really have much of a purpose for me. You know, I don't really daily it anymore. I don't want to drift it. You know, it's just kind of a cool looking car that I drive every now and then because it's fun. So I think I'll probably get rid of this one. If I didn't get rid of it, I would do proper wide body instead of fender flares, paint it back purple, build a nice turbo manifold for it, do a big top mount turbo and make it scream. You know, I love the way these RBs sound because they rev so high. The RB20s, they rev to like 8 grand and they sound sick with an external gate. So that's probably what I would do with it. Look at these planes need to give me a break, man. Can you quiet it down, please? My main plan though is to do a giveaway on this car. I think it'd be a real fun car to give away. I think it'd make someone a great car because it works great and the AC works and everything. So that's definitely what I'm leaning towards doing here in the next month or so. So this will probably be a giveaway car. Definitely probably gonna get rid of it. Let's take it for a rip. Well, this is the first of the vehicles that we're driving that's street legal, or they're all street legal in Florida. Our rules are pretty lax, but it's the first one with a tag on it. I have insurance on the Miata, but obviously it's a lot more tame than those two as well. It is a bit of a pain to get down our messed up driveway though. Like this thing's got auto locks, and it's from like, I forget what year this thing is. I think it's a 91. And it's got like auto locks based off speed. It was like Nissan's flagship car. That's what's cool about it to me. It was like Nissan's luxury model. Gotta roll slow past the neighbors. They're outside. They're never outside, so they probably hate me. I mean, the AC works good. It's such a solid daily. You can fit 4 people, plenty of trunk space, it's comfortable, and it makes turbo noises. It's been fun having a daily that makes turbo noises. Man, RBs are definitely one of the best sounding engines by far. This car around, I fall in love with it again because it checks so many of the boxes as far as the daily. The only downfall to this car is it's not dual purpose. You know, like the Subaru, coming in this way sucks. The Subaru is a fun daily, but it's also something I can take to the tail of the Dragon and do mountain runs with. It's something I can take to track days. This thing's a fun daily, but there's not much else that I want to do with it because I have 2 other drift cars, and that's really what it would be good for outside of daily driving. Next up is the Subaru. So I like this car a lot. This car, I decided to buy it because we went to the Tail of the Dragon. We took the Z I was talking about earlier. And the Tail of the Dragon, for those of you who don't know, is a real gnarly mountain road up in North Georgia, Tennessee area. And it's like super, super fun. I had never driven anything like that living in Florida. It's pretty flat here. I've driven on mountain roads, but never in my own car ripping hard. And oh man, I had so much fun in that car. And that car was a straight up drift car. Welded diff, alignment for drifting, big steering angle, crappy brakes. I mean, it was a drift car, and I had an absolute blast. So after that, I was kind of hooked. I really wanted something to go do stuff like that, go do Tail of the Dragon trips, rip mountain roads. My buddy Adam had a Evo 5, and I rode in that, and I was like, this thing's amazing. So I kind of wanted to get the opposite, or not the opposite, but the competitor to the Evo 5, which is this. This is technically a GC6 because it's a 4-door, but GC8 chassis, 2.5 RS. So this one was a 2.5 RS, but it has been swapped to a WRX motor. So I found this car up in Jacksonville. I found it on Craigslist. I was looking around for just a stock one to build, to do either an STI or WRX swap in. And this one popped up, already had a WRX swap and had some junky coilovers and whatever. And it was kind of an unfinished project. It was like running and driving, but it was kind of rough and needed some help. So I mean, it was like the perfect car for what I wanted to do, because it was the price of buying one that was not swapped already with the swap stuff. Definitely ended up being a bit of a headache doing it because just a lot of stuff was done incorrectly. So I ended up having to redo a lot of it, but I still think it was better than if I had bought a car and done the whole build myself. So one of the things I had to change was the wiring harness. They had just taken the WRX donor car harness and strung it through the car, so like nothing worked right and whatever. So I got a GC harness, sent that and the WRX harness to iWire. They do a merge service, so now it's got the proper GC chassis harness with the WRX engine harness and yada yada yada. So it's a 2-liter turbo motor out of a 03 WRX. Currently it is broken. Took it for a backroads rip and went to do a pull, broke the transmission. There's a pin that the clutch fork rides on, and it broke the case of the trans. So I got the trans out of it right now. I'm just kind of debating on the rabbit hole that I want to go down with it, whether I want to do a 6-speed like STI drivetrain swap or just throw another 5-speed in it or what. So we're still figuring that out. But yeah, so WRX motor, it's got an STI turbo and injectors. I've got some 1000cc injectors for it. It's got a bunch of Mishimoto stuff, radiator, intake, coolant expansion tank deal, catch can. I put BC Racing digressive coilovers on this too. They ride so good, so good. This thing drives like a stock car, but handles incredibly well. I absolutely love DS's, highly recommend them. Other than that, my favorite part of the car is the interior. So it's got these JDM tiger stripe seats. So these came out of, I believe, a JDM like 93 WRX or something like that. There was a specific JDM version of this car that they came in. But anyway, I think they're really cool. They match the car. The car's red, they're red. They're an OEM seat. Got the matching rears. And they are so comfortable. They are so well bolstered. They hold you in so tight, but while still being super comfortable. They're my favorite part of this car. They're like the main selling point of this car for me. When I saw those seats, I was like, I've got to have this thing. I know it's kind of a silly thing to fixate on, but that was it for me. That was why I wanted it. So still got a few things to take care of in the interior here. I'm waiting on one of these, a guy from Canada that I bought it from. He hasn't shipped it yet, but anyway, I need to replace that. Need to make a little gauge deal for here and put some gauges in it. And there's a couple other pieces that I'm missing in here. Need to throw an aftermarket wheel on it, replace the windshield there, and obviously fix the gaping hole that is where the shifter should be. So that's the rundown on this thing. Future plans. This one gets a little complicated because I'm unsure. I really am unsure. I like this car a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. And there's a big part of me that wants to go the route of building it, doing a 6-speed swap, bigger turbo, built motor, all that stuff. But I don't know if I want to invest that much money into it. I don't know if I'll use it enough to go do stuff like Tail of the Dragon trips to be worth putting that much time and money into it. And the big thing is, having it take up that much space. I've got to slim down the herd here to some extent before I start new projects. And I've got a million build ideas in my head and things that I want to build, and, bucket list cars I've always wanted, which this is one of them. All of these are pretty much a car that I've really wanted at some point or another. I mean, since I was like 10 years old, I'd find a car and see a video online of it and then fixate on it and learn what people do to them and how much it would cost me. And, so I've had a million different dream builds since I was a kid, but, I'm kind of checking through them one by one. And so anyway, I have to get rid of some stuff just to make room for other stuff. So because of that, I'm really unsure of the future of this car. At a minimum, we got some D-Works 1000cc injectors to put in it. I've got a Cobb 3-port boost controller, so I'm going to throw those in, get it tuned. We're going to at least upgrade to a better 5-speed trans if we whenever we put another trans in it at a minimum. So, you know, it's going to get upgraded from here. I want to do wheels and tires on it, obviously. I want to get it painted. So we will be doing a good bit more stuff to it. But the dilemma is, you know, if I'm going to keep it long term or not. Am I going to just do that stuff, drive it for a bit and then sell it or do a giveaway on it or whatever? Or am I going to, you know, keep it for years and years to come? The only car whose fate is sealed that we've gone through so far as keeping it for years to come is the Miata. You know, all of these guys could be on the chopping block. Again, this one definitely, this one most likely, this one least likely. But still, you know, it's on the chopping block. It'll probably go eventually, as sad as it makes me. So I don't know. You never know though. You never know how things go. Like I said, could drive the RX-7, be the best car I've ever driven. Could drive this thing, take it to the mountain once and you never want to get rid of it. I don't know. So let's take this thing for a rip. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously we can't. You saw me tow it around over here just to get it in the video. So we're just gonna move straight on to this guy. So the Miata is my favorite vehicle for all of those reasons, right? Because, you know, I built it and fab work and sentimental value and stuff, but this is like my favorite vehicle that I own. As funny as that may be, you might not suspect that this would be my favorite vehicle. I love this truck. I absolutely love this truck for like a daily driver, getting around, etc. This is my favorite vehicle for that kind of stuff. The Miata, again, is my favorite because of a lot of other reasons, but as far as just like get in and drive it to the store or whatever, if I had to get rid of all of these and keep one to drive every day, this would be it. So this is a regular cab short bed Chevy 1500, but it's got a little surprise under the hood. So not a lot of these came with V8s to begin with. When they did come with V8s, they're usually 4.8s, sometimes 5.3s. This one, on the other hand, I guess you're not really going to be able to see what it is, but it's a 6-liter. So this is a 6-liter out of a 2500. So obviously bigger displacement, makes more power. And the real kicker, the biggest benefit, what this truck has is it has a 4L80E transmission. So the 1500 trucks came with 4L60Es. You hear a lot of bad things about them. I know people have had just fine luck with them, but they are on the weaker side. If you tow with them a lot, if you beat on them, you know, you're going to break the trans. The 4L80E, however, is way stronger. These transmissions are super stout. I've seen people making 900 wheel run and 9-second passes on 200,000 mile 4L80Es with a shift kit, which is basically what this is, a 4L80E with a shift kit. So that's really, really cool. Because of that, this truck tows super well. So I bought it to tow with while I was building this truck, which obviously we're gonna get to last, just to tow my open trailer around. And man, it tows so good. It tows better than my Duramax did, honestly. Like, it's gets out of the hole quicker, like leaving lights, trying to casually leave and keep up with traffic. I love it. It rides so much better. Oh, I know I've said I love it like 10 times, but I really like this truck. So it's got a Escalade gauge cluster, which is cool because we got trans temp and things like that, and it looks kind of sweet. It's got the Escalade seats in it. My buddy Derek Gaskin sold me this truck. I can't thank him enough because he wasn't trying to sell it. He knew I was looking for one. He offered it to me for a really good deal, and I really appreciate it because I love this truck. But anyway, he put the Escalade cushions and leather and stuff on the seats that were in this truck. He put the center console in. These normally didn't come with this center console, but this setup is so much nicer than the flip down bench because you get the cup holders and the storage area up here. It's got a nice sound system in it. It's got a sub and an amp and component speakers, so it sounds really good, but it's like, it's not too much, you know, it's the perfect amount. The suspension's really tight on it. Like I said, it rides really good. I like this truck so much. It is just such a good daily because with the 6-liter, it's super peppy, super fun to drive around town, but it's also an amazing cruiser. You freaking put it in drive, you kick back on your armrest and you cruise. You know, when I'm driving an hour somewhere to go pick up a part or whatever, like, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to shift. You know, I just chill and drive. And I don't know, I'm kind of turning into an old man where if you tell me I got to go drive 45 minutes somewhere to do something and you give me, I have the option, which I do, to take this or that, 9 times out of 10, I'm picking this. I just love this thing. And we are going to make it more fun. So future plans for this thing, we're going to do a budget turbo setup on it. So we're going to do a turbo and try to make 600-700 wheel out of it. Should be a lot of fun. Should be really, really easily attainable with that engine. Should blow the tires off and just be an absolute riot to drive. Past that, aesthetically, I have a HD hood for it that I'd like to get painted and put on. You know, part of me wants to lower it. I'm not really sure how I'll go with all of that because, you know, I need to notch the frame and whatever. I really like the way it is now, and I'm like afraid to mess it up because it's just, I love daily driving it so much. But yeah, I don't know. Aesthetics could go anywhere. It could go full baller, bagged, whatever. It could go just you know, drag radials to throw on the rear and a little bit lowered. It could go a million different ways. But at a bare minimum, it's going to be getting a turbo and it's going to be making 600-700 wheel and blowing the tires off. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that. Definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. I, at the moment, don't think I'll ever get rid of this truck, but you know, who knows, that could change in a year or two, but I don't intend on getting rid of it. So yeah, so let's take it for a rip. Now we get to drive the most simple and tame of them all, my favorite. So one thing that's really cool about these, at least the two-wheel drive Chevy 1500s, I think the four-wheel drives might be the same way, they have rack and pinion steering. So the steering is super tight and responsive. Like you turn that much and you're turning. A lot of trucks with steering boxes, you get a lot of slop in there, and there's so much play left and right, and they feel very floaty on the highway. I hate it. I really like driving this truck. It's so heavy. Like I breathe on the throttle and we're like moving off quick. But yeah, nothing too special about this thing. I mean, it's quick. We'll do a little pull, but you know, it's just comfortable. These seats are like the most comfortable thing ever. I just love driving this truck around. It's just such a good truck for just getting from point A to point B comfortably and having a little fun. It's got a posi, so when it's wet out, I can kick it out. You know, it's a good mix of being super comfortable and chill, but also still having some fun factor to it. Marks the tires in second. Yeah, this thing gets down good, man. I don't have any intention of ever getting rid of this one. This one is definitely my favorite daily I've ever had. And that's with, you know, maybe 300 wheel. Can you imagine what this thing's gonna be like when it's turboed? Making 600. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. I would highly recommend one of these single cab short beds as a daily for someone who needs something practical that they still want to have some fun in. Get one with a V8. I think these are just amazing vehicles for that. And these trucks in general, if you're looking for a truck, you're only going to tow as much as like an open car trailer, this is the truck to get. I mean, this really is the truck to get. This generation Chevy 1500. These trucks are awesome. They're super reliable. They're very easy to find parts for. They're very easy to work on. They're comfortable. You get everything you would want in a half-ton truck with these trucks. Moving on. It's kind of ironic that the beautiful day that was part of the reasoning for doing this video has turned into a little bit of a gloomy day, but I'm still not complaining. Still not hot and humid. Good with me. So moving on to the last vehicle in the lineup here. So definitely not least, this is my 2009 F350. So the reason for buying this truck, I had tried just about every used diesel truck for the under 15 to 20 grand budget. I first had a first gen Dodge, then I had an LLY Duramax, then I had the third gen Dodge in 06 with a common rail engine, and then a 7.3 Ford, and just all of them had major pitfalls for me. All of them had something major that was a big factor and a reason why I wanted to get rid of them and move on to something else. And I tried several of them with the exception of a couple, and none of them really ticked all the boxes for me. And without spending 30 grand and going out and buying a few-year-old 6.7 truck, which still wouldn't tick quite all the boxes for me, the only way to get what I wanted was to build it. So this truck, like many of these 6.4 trucks, is blown up. Fortunately, I was not the one it blew up on. I bought it already blown up. Got a really good deal on it. Bought this truck for $6 grand. It's four-wheel drive. It's fully loaded. It's black, which I really like. I like that. I wanted a black truck. It's kind of like my favorite color when it comes to vehicles for whatever reason. And yeah, it's in pretty good shape. It's not perfect. Definitely could be nicer, but it's in pretty solid shape. No rust, nothing like that. So the plan with this truck is to put a common rail Cummins in it. So a lot of people put 12 valve Cummins in it. We're putting a common rail Cummins out of a third gen Dodge in it. So really what what we're doing is taking a truck and an engine from the same era, but from different manufacturers, and getting the best of both worlds. So the Cummins is a super reliable engine. They're very simple, very easy to work on. You know, everything is really easy with them. They make good power. Again, they're reliable, etc. The Ford chassis is great. The Ford transmissions are super stout. They're rated for 1,000 foot-pounds from the factory. But the engine sucked. So in the Dodge, the chassis and the trans sucked. The Ford, the engine sucked. So you combine the two and you get a pretty good truck. So that is the plan for this thing. Again, it's a four-wheel drive dually. I'll show you the inside. So the inside's really nice. It was really hard to find one like this. I really wanted the center console setup where I was going to seat swap it. I hate the flip down benches. I'm never going to have 6 people in my truck. I don't see the point in it. So I was really happy to find with the center console. The interior's in really good shape. Aside from the driver's seat, which is pretty standard. You know, the back seats are still really nice. Tons of leg room. The other big thing for me with this truck is I wanted something that had modern amenities. I really wanted something modern and comfortable, because when I'm taking these trips, you know, a lot of times I'm going from Florida to Texas, or, you know, even further than that, and it's, you know, 1,000 miles straight driving, and I'm driving the whole way, and, you know, I just wanted something that was as comfortable as possible, something that's nice and quiet inside, that rides good, that has all the modern features. Like, this thing's got freaking AC controls on the steering wheel, and it's got a sunroof. Like, I've got a freaking sunroof in my dually. How baller is that? So yeah, this is what I was really wanting. But a lot of these trucks, until you get to like the 6.7 Fords, you know, they all have a major pitfall. The Dodges with the transmissions, and they're not as nice inside. The Fords with the 6.4 engines blowing up. So it was like, you still can't get what you want, you know? Like, you move into a newer truck that's got more amenities, but you get a lot more problems, basically. So that the Dodge engine solves that, because it's super reliable and super simple. And that's the big thing too. Unlike a newer truck where I'd have to take it into the dealership to get it fixed because they're so complicated now, you know, this truck with a Cummins swap, like, I can fix it myself. And that's a big thing for me. You know, I kind of base vehicles and buying vehicles off of if I can work on them myself, because I work on everything myself. So yeah, you know, it's kind of the big determining factor for building this truck, just kind of getting everything I want in one truck. Comfortable, modern amenities, nice newer truck, but with a simple engine that's easy to work on and should be really reliable, you know, all in one package. So I'm really excited about this thing. I was hoping to already be done with it, but I've been trying to track down a Cummins parts truck, you know, to do the build off of, because I learned when I built the LS Miata that buying an engine and then buying everything else separate is a pain. One, cost, you know, because you're buying all these knick-knack stuff that adds up. The biggest thing is time. You know, you go ready to put something in, you realize you don't have the right bolt, you don't have the right pilot bearing, you don't have the right fitting, you know, so I didn't want to deal with that. So I wanted to buy a parts truck, you know, and then that way, if I needed this quick connect fitting or this hose or whatever, I'd have that truck here to scavenge parts off of. But I haven't had really any luck finding a parts truck at auction. I've been looking and looking and looking. So I'm probably going to go buy an engine. I would like to buy an engine by the end of this week. So fingers crossed for me that I have an engine for this thing, you know, within the next week, and we can get started on it. But yeah, this is definitely a build I'm really excited about. I bought this truck to tow my open trailer in the meantime while I was building this truck, because I sold my 7.3 truck. So I'm really excited to get back to towing my enclosed. You can kind of see it back there. It's just nice. I can carry a lot more stuff with me. I'm excited for more out-of-state trips, so I really want to get this thing done. But outside of the engine swap, future plans for it, I'm not sure. I originally wanted to do 24-inch semi wheels like I had on my 7.3 truck and do air ride so it would ride better and I could drop it down some. You know, but now I'm kind of like on the fence. You know, I really want this truck to be as reliable and comfortable as possible for a long trip. So, you know, I don't want to ruin it by trying to make it look cool, but, you know, I think I could probably go with like 22s and still get enough sidewall that it would ride good and whatnot, you know, get some off-road tires. And I'm not 100% sure. I definitely really love the way these trucks look on semi wheels, and I'm really hoping that I can still go that route. But at a minimum, first order of business is getting the Cummins in it, getting it running and driving. So that's what we're going to do next, hopefully within the next week or so. Again, I'm really excited for this build. And yeah, this is a long-term truck. Like, I don't plan on ever getting rid of this thing. I mean, it should be everything we could ever want in a truck once it's done. So there's absolutely no reason to get rid of this unless I find myself selling all my trailers and never needing to tow anything. I don't see myself ever getting rid of this truck once it's done. So, okay, we did it. That's all of them. That's all my cars, man. Wow. That's my 09 F350, my Silverado 1500, my Subaru Impreza GC8 2.5 RS, my Nissan A31 Cefiro, my FC RX7 LS swapped, my NA Miata with also an LS swap. Oh man, like I said, dude, seeing them all out here like this side by side really makes me realize I have a problem and reminds me how badly I need to get rid of a couple of these, because, you know, normally I have the Cefiro and the Subaru parked up here as daily drivers, and then I got that truck is kind of, you know, out of sight, out of mind. It's parked over there in the corner, and then I keep my 1500 over there, and then I got the Miata in the shop, and usually like the RX7 in the shop, and they're all spread out, you know, so I don't see them all in one place at one time. So seeing them all here definitely is kind of a wake-up call that I need to thin the herd before I buy anything else. I keep finding good deals, and it's so hard not to buy stuff, you know, but we gotta get rid of a few. So I guess I'll end you guys with the question, which is your favorite? Which would you get rid of? You know, love, hate, kill, or whatever. Yeah, which would you keep as a daily? Which would you want to drive the most, and which would you get rid of? There we go, something like that. Comment below, let me know what you guys think. But yeah, the two trucks are next on the chopping block. You know, Cummins swapping that truck. Once that's done, then we can turbo this truck. Miata's pretty much good to go. Like I said, just got to do electric power steering. We need to finish up the RX-7, finish up the Subaru, so we still got plenty more to do before we can really move on to new projects. But yeah, I change cars like I change underwear. I'm always excited for something new and looking for something new. So I guess that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys next time while we're building this stuff. We still got lots to do, and then we'll be buying some new stuff, and you know how it goes. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Goodbye.